Welcome to the Code Corner. My name is Joe Chandler, and today we're going to talk about the most wonderful time of the year. Happy Article 590. What is Article 590? Applies to temporary electric power and lighting installations. So, what's new in the 2020 code for Article 590? Well, let's look at some. So, this new section, 590.8, gives us guidance for overcurrent protection devices. And 590.8a talks about where reused. You notice right here, where reused. So it says where overcurrent protected devices that have been previously used are installed in a temporary installation, these overcurrent protected devices shall be examined to ensure these devices have been properly installed, properly maintained, and there is no evidence of impending failure. So whenever we think about our temporary installations and temporary equipment and temporary poles, we often use these over and over again. They get used at one job, we take them up, we move to the next one, we may store them somewhere, or somehow we move them from place to place. So there's a lot of opportunity for damage. So why it's no crime, and again, a lot of times that's for save costs. Why build the temporary pole new every time? So why it's no crime for us to reuse these temporary overcurrent devices that that are in our equipment. Let's think about the conditions that they're in. If you think about our temporary power pole, it's outdoors. We have the moisture, rain that can get into it. We have dirt. We're in extreme heat, extreme cold, etc. And then also, like we mentioned, where did you store that equipment? Where did you store that temporary pole between jobs? How did you get it from point A to point B? And was there damage then? So a lot of opportunities for physical damage to the equipment for a temporary pole that gets used over and over again. So the phrase properly maintained means that the equipment has been maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations and applicable industry codes and standards. So this doesn't look like it's being properly stored or maintained, but some standards for this include a NEMA recommended practice for electrical equipment maintenance, another NEMA standard evaluating water damaged electrical equipment, and an IEEE standard, life expectancy of molded case circuit breakers. So these are, this is our responsibility now to make sure that, these are in good shape whenever we do choose to reuse them. Now, another term that's new, we see evidence of impending failure. So it means that there is evidence, and the evidence would include arcing, overheating, loose or bound, meaning, where you can't move it, equipment parts, visible damage, or deterioration. So with any or all of these, that makes it to where we got to change something out. We got to update our temporary pole. Now, right here in 590.8b, again, another new part of this whole 590.8 is new. It's talking about service overcurrent protective devices. So this is where the service comes in. So it says overcurrent protective devices for solidly grounded Y electrical services of more than 150 volts to ground but not exceeding 1,000 volts phase to phase shall be of the current limiting type, meaning that overcurrent device has to be a current limiting device. Now, what that's telling us is, if we look right here in our picture of our sine wave, right here is our normal condition. We have this is our current waveform that we're looking at, and we're saying that, okay, we're using some current. We have a nice steady value of our sine wave. But whenever we have a fault condition, a short circuit or a ground fault right here, then look at how the value went up. Pow, way up here, meaning we have a tremendous amount of current flowing at this time. And so left to continue, this is going to cause great damage to the equipment. It could cause harm to anyone around. It could start a fire. There could be many things come from this tremendous amount of current that would flow during this fault condition. So a current limiting device, as you see, really has a peak let through current, and then it stops. It says, okay, I'm going to shut you off. And so as you see, this could happen in less than a cycle or half a cycle. One cycle is 1/60th of a second. One half of a cycle would be 1/120th of a second. So very quick to react to this fault condition, which is a good thing. Why current limiting? Well, if you look at a picture that we see here, our temporary pole, again, this picture here, our temporary pole is often, just by nature, very close to the utility company's transformer. And so what that means is the available fault current that is at our equipment is much higher maybe than other installations may be, where we would run long distances to get there through our service conductors. Right here, we're real close. And so this means that there's nothing really limiting that amount of current that comes from the utility transformer. So to have this in place is going to, again, cut down on this damage that we see to our equipment in this 277 480 volt system. Now it's quiz time. So quiz for everyone. What is the most famous temporary installation? So we've got a couple options here. Could it be New Year's Eve in Times Square? How about the upcoming Tokyo Olympics? How about the Essen Light Festival in Germany? Well, if you said yes to any of those, the answer is nope. No. What is then, if that's not the case, if none of those are the answer, what is the answer? Well, I think it's obvious. The Griswold house. Clark Griswold used 250 strings of lights. Each string of light had about 100 lamps, uses about 40 watts of power. Again, he claimed to use 250 of them. That's 25,000 lamps, 100,000 watts, or 10,000 watts of power. That's about 10 times the demand of an average home for a month. Now today, Clark may have used LED lights, and that would have limited or saved him about 85%. So happy holidays. Thank you for tuning in to the Code Corner.